Hi guys, and welcome back. So today is Inktober day 11. So this is actually one that I drew yesterday and I'm editing it today so you guys can see it. But yeah, yesterday's Inktober, it was one of those ones where I did a piece earlier and I felt so unsatisfied by it to the point that it just felt really, it was a drag having that piece that I had done like that. It just felt really unsatisfactory for moving forward and feeling motivated about the rest of Inktober. So I wanted to do another piece. I really wanted to make sure that I was putting myself into a position that I felt really good about each piece that I do in Inktober. And I don't feel like I need everything to be this amazing masterpiece, but I would like things to feel like I'm learning something, or I was able to experiment with a new media or a new technique, or something that I just felt really excited about the concept. So this one, the first one that I did, I just felt really, it was really not interesting. It wasn't something that I pushed myself with. I really didn't try any new techniques. So I wanted to change that. So I did this other piece, and this one, it is with multi-liner pens, the Micron pens. That name just totally left my brain. The Micron pens. So it's definitely one that I'm really well acquainted with, but I wanted to have this like negative space hand. So I wanted to show a little bit of this like black blood dripping off his hand, and the rest was kind of this empty space around it. So you'll see as I get into that that starts developing. And that area actually, it took a lot of self-control to make sure that I didn't just go too far with that. And I know that's something that I talk about a lot with my traditional stuff, is I just go too far. A lot of times I add too many details or too many layers or too many mediums on top of the piece, and it usually it's those last couple steps that it's just, it pushes it past the point where it was good. So this one took a lot of self-control. I actually had Lee like over my shoulder, and he was saying, don't go too far, because he knows that that's something that I really struggle with. And then I always complain about it afterwards. I'm like, I should have left it at that earlier point. But I think that I did pretty good overall for this whole piece as far as showing restraint. I did go in and color his eyes and his hair later on, but I tried to be really, really careful about what I was doing. So his hair ends up being gray, so it's not like it's adding another level of color to it. It still is in that gray scale, and then his eyes are the only color within the piece. And I did not let myself go crazy and try to add glowing effects, which is something that I usually end up trying to do when I color eyes. So I just went with a very, very minimal amount of markers afterwards to make sure that it was very controlled and very precise with how I was incorporating these colors. Because that is, like I said, that's one of those places where oftentimes I have these good ideas that like I think about it like that, and then I put it down, and then as soon as I put it down I realize it's gone too far and it is not fitting with the piece. So yeah, I think at least with this piece, if I succeeded, I think I succeeded at holding back. And also a quick thing, I have been trying to get a good angle for recording for Inktober. So when I do traditional pieces, I like to have the camera right above. And a very quick aside, I have had a few people ask how I like to set up my camera so that I can get a very up and down angle where it's right above the piece. I actually have a tripod, so there'll be the tripod here, and then I have an attachment so that I can have a pole that sticks straight out, and then the camera just points down from there. So that's the way that I do it. There's a lot of ways that you can kind of incorporate it if you wanted to try that kind of a method, but that is a little bit sidetracked. Oh yeah, I was talking about traditional pieces and trying to make sure that I get it angled right, because I prefer it when it's right above it. I hate when like you see a piece and it's at an angle, and then you see it at the correct angle where it's straight on, and then it looks totally different. Like when I'm slouching in school, I remember very vividly drawing in school, and I'd be slouching and I'd draw this piece. I'm like, that looks so good. And then I'd sit up straight and look at it, and it was like horribly warped. And that's kind of the challenge with this one, is because when I'm inking and I'm recording right above it, my hand is right above where I'm inking. So it completely blocks it out. And when I'm doing Inktober, the inking is obviously the most important part. So I'm trying to find a way that I can have it at an angle so that it's pointing down in a way that it's you're able to like see what's actually happening under the pen and under my hand without it being way too distorted. So this one I think is hopefully in the right direction. I actually positioned it more so it's like coming a little bit more like how my eyes would be looking at it. So it's a little bit closer to me and a little bit more at that angle. I don't know. We'll see. I'm definitely still trying things out, and I'm trying to get to a point where I feel like I've found a good setup for recording inking, because I've always wanted to record those, but a lot of my traditional pieces, I will either speed those up way, way faster so I can just get it done and out of the way, or I will ink it off camera because I know that a lot of it you just can't even see anyways. So hopefully I'll be able to get a good angle that I feel like doesn't distort it too much so that I can do more of these pieces even beyond Inktober. And this is the part where I start using the ink, and this is a new bottle of ink. Normally I like to get the Speedball Super Black ink, but this time, a quick story, I might have mentioned this already, but I bought a Speedball ink specifically for Inktober a little while ago because my last bottle, I spilled it all, so I didn't have any more left. So I went to buy it, I got home, I opened up the box, and there was silver ink inside of it instead of the black ink. So I had to take it back later, and once I was taking it back, I decided to get the Micron pens instead. But then I went back again another day to see if they had the Speedball ink out, because when I went back to go see if they had another bottle, there was one that it was like clearly someone had like used their teeth to open the bottle, so I didn't want that one. So I went back again to see if they had a new bottle of ink out, the Super Black ink, and they had 2 out. I'm like, oh great, because I told them the problem when I bought my box, so I'm sure they wouldn't have put it back out. No, I opened them up to make sure. There was the chewed up one, and there was the silver one. They put it right back on the shelf with the silver ink inside of the Super Black box. So I did not buy the Super Black ink, unfortunately, but I decided to experiment with a different type of ink because I do have other ones that are water soluble, but I need a waterproof one so that I can really do the line work. And this time I got the Higgins Black Magic. So yeah, I don't know what more to say about this. I haven't really experimented enough with this yet. The big benefit I know, because I've used other Higgins inks, and my biggest drawback with those is that they had a weird shine to them. They were really shiny, and it just did not work with how I wanted it to look. And this one on the back, it did say that it was semi-matte, so, and I did not see any shine while I was working on this. The biggest drawback I think I see with this one though is that it's not as opaque as I would like it to be. I did have to go back over with a few coats to get it as dark as I like, but it's not a huge drawback. I really don't mind. And honestly, like, the process of like spreading ink down in these layers, it's just really, really pleasant. So if I have to do it multiple times to get it as black as I want, it's not really a horrible thing. So I don't know, I'll keep trying with this one, and I'll let you guys know kind of my final thoughts on this. But so far I've really, really liked it. It has a different way of different benefits and different drawbacks than the other ink I'm used to, so it's just kind of a process of playing with it, figuring out what I like. But yeah. And this is the point where I start really carefully erasing some of the lines. So for this piece, I sketched right on top of the Bristol board, and I wanted the sketch to stay there and to be seen because I really love that look. And most, I won't say most, a lot of my pieces I don't end up sketching right on the piece, and I really like that effect. So I did want to leave that there. But the hand, since I decided after I'd sketched the whole hand and started working on it that I wanted to have it kind of lost and found, so some of the areas would not be defined. So I did have to go in and erase those a little bit, and that part was a little bit scary because I feel like even when ink is just like bone dry, it should be totally done drying, I have still smeared it with a pencil, or well, with an eraser before, so I had to be really, really careful, and I tried to avoid the ink as much as possible. And I did succeed at not smearing it, which kind of feels a bit like a miracle. But that is everything for today's Inktober. Well, yesterday's Inktober. I still have one to do today, but yeah, I feel pretty happy with him, especially after the first one that was just very not good feeling. So I'm excited to be able to have something that I feel good about. Like I made progress and I enjoyed working on him. So yeah, I feel good about that. I feel really good about continuing Inktober. I do have a few one project that I put off to like the last 2 days. So I can't put as much attention to Inktober like today and tomorrow and maybe Saturday as I would like. But once that's done, I can really dive back in and get remotivated into really trying out a lot more elaborate pieces and everything. So I'm excited for this weekend to be here so I can stop worrying about the other stuff that's keeping me from enjoying Inktober. But yeah, that is pretty much it for today. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you at my next Inktober.